I think it was like my 8th hire, and they were the #1 salesperson at an 800-person sales team. And I convinced this person to come. 6 months later, they're middle of the road.
What are you asking in these interviews to test for coachability?
I've never seen a sales hiring context where you shouldn't have them do a role play. It's like having someone try out for a sports team and not playing the sport.
Yeah, I'd love that.
How'd you think that role play went?
I thought it went pretty good. I hit all the points I needed to.
My gosh. So that for me would be a really bad answer.
Mark, it's time to scale your team. What do you look for in new hires? How do you hire the best salespeople?
I love this one during like exec ed. You know, you got people running big businesses, so they've done this a lot. I get the same answer from all of them that's like always plays out to be wrong. The #1 answer I get is they have 5 years of experience selling in my industry. And I'm just like, well, why don't you just hire off the resume? And there's just like very rigorous research that shows that often leads to poor hiring. They go out, they're like, okay, let's go find someone that's sold 5 years in our industry before. And they take like a loose approach to like attracting candidates, maybe post a couple ads. They get like 50, 60 candidates, and then they bring them in and then choose the people that have experience selling the industry, and they end up hiring the bottom half performers in their industry. Leave them at the competition. That's who you want selling the competitors' products, not your own. They don't look at the selling skills. It's like hiring a programmer who has experience programming in financial services. You know, they write C++ and you're a Java shop. It's not looking at the actual skills of selling. The second one is I'm gonna tell a story about the early HubSpot days. I think it was like my 8th hire, and I'd actually been courting this person for some time, and they were the #1 salesperson at an 800-person sales team. We had maybe like 20, 25 people at the company, and I convinced this person to come. And I was just like, I'm finally gonna learn how to sell. Like this person is the #1 out of 800 people. They joined the company. 6 months later, they're middle of the road. How is that possible? That this person had like year after year after year been near the top, if not the top in certain years, out of a large team. And they come to our rinky-dink little startup where we don't really feel like we know what we're doing, and they're middle of the road. And then as I reflected on that question, I kind of started to think about the context from which they came. They came from a business that was 20 years old. They came from an industry that was 40 years old. When they called up a customer or a prospect and said, I'm so-and-so from this company, they knew what was coming. They knew what the company did. They knew what the industry did. This business is running Super Bowl ads. Versus compare that to our context at that time, year 1 or 2, where it's like, hey, I'm calling from HubSpot. Who is HubSpot? Oh, we sell inbound marketing software. What is inbound marketing? I mean, it was a totally different sale. And so that's the issue with effective selling, is there is no universal amazing salesperson. There's just an optimal salesperson for your context. The optimal person to sell a suit versus a jet versus a piece of software, they're gonna be very different people. So we have to be extremely aware of our context to form hypotheses. What is our context? And oftentimes we've rooted our context in this show in what we're selling, to who, and contextual stuff about our business. Are we a startup? Are we an established company? Are we in Asia? Are we in South America? Different context to our business and our selling context. So using those, I can hypothesize on 5 to 10 attributes that I think are going to correlate with success in our model. I'll give you 3, Matthew, and all 3 were in the top 5 of HubSpot's rigorously tested attribute model in the first like 5 years of our existence. Okay? You can guess which one was #1.
Ooh, I feel like the trap is that coachability might be at #1, but I think curiosity is #1.
My gosh. Every single audience, I would say 10% vote for intelligence, 60% vote for curiosity, and 30% vote for coachability. And coachability was the one that correlated the most.
No.
I know. Now, again, it's circumstantial. I know for a fact that there are a lot of hiring managers out there that hire primarily on curiosity. It works out very well. But just for me, it actually took me 2 years to even pick up on coachability. And this gets into like the process that you're establishing is like, if you're building a new team, you said scaling the team, I'm only creating theories on what those attributes are. And so now what I want to do is validate those theories. So I'm going to go out and hire and take some time, right? So I need to establish a scorecard of putting those like 10 attributes down. And I want to clearly define what each attribute means. And let's define what a score might look like. What is an exceptional like 8, 9, or 10 sound like on motivation? What is like a mediocre 4, 5, 6, 7 sound like for motivation? What does a 1, 2, 3 sound like? So now I've taken an hour to clearly define these 10 attributes. What are they? And what does a high, medium score look like? And now I just go start hiring. I hire 2 or 3 reps every quarter or every month. And usually I have very good visibility within 6, 7, 8 months as to who's going to be good. And I put together this flywheel learning model where it's like, okay, Matthew's been with us for 6 months now. He's a top performer. Why is he a top performer? He's a top performer because he's the most motivated and he's the most coachable. Did we pick up on that in the interview? Are we missing something? If I'm missing one of those attributes and motivation keeps coming up, I'm gonna add motivation to our scorecard. Bob, he got fired 7 months in, sold 2 customers in 7 months. What was wrong with Bob? Bob had this issue, Bob had that issue. Are we seeing that consistently as a flaw in our sales hires? If so, let's add it into the model. So it's like, I can quantitatively through reflection, but low data points start to hone in on my ideal hiring formula. And if you're really scaling, you're gonna have to 30, 40, 50 salespeople, you can actually do a regression analysis to correlate the strength of that particular attribute to success. And that's where the coachability came from. Hey, if you like this episode on hiring an A+ sales team, you're gonna love this offer that I put together with Stage 2 Capital and HubSpot on hiring great salespeople. It walks through very common attributes that you see in a sales interview process, allows you to define them and translate them into effective questions and role plays to accurately assess these candidates. If you're hiring salespeople this year, this is the key workbook for you to build an A team.
What I'd really love to hear is like, what are you asking in these interviews to test for coachability?
I've never seen a sales hiring context where you shouldn't have them do a role play. It's like having someone try out for a sports team and not playing the sport. You know what I mean? Imagine Matthew was like, hey, come on out and try to be on our basketball team. And all we do is talk about what you've done in the past. You don't even pick up a basketball once to shoot it.
Yeah, I'd love that.
You'd make the NBA, right? Yeah. So that's crazy. And that's very important here to coachability. This is my favorite part of the interview is I'm like, okay, Matt, we're going to do a role play. You can take as much time as you want because I'm not testing how quickly you think. When I throw you objections, I'm thinking how quickly you think. But in this case, you usually have time to prepare for a meeting. So you're gonna be a salesperson for XYZ company, I'm gonna be a buyer, and then we do the role play. But then at some point, 5 or 10 minutes in, I'll stop it, and now I'm testing coachability. So I'll say, Matthew, how'd you think that role play went?
I thought it went pretty good. I hit all the points I needed to.
Cool. So that for me would be a really bad answer. Because like every salesperson can always criticize a sales performance. No athlete comes out of a game and be like, I didn't make a single mistake. Not possible. Having the lack of like self-diagnosis is a red flag for me. Okay. Versus if you were like, well, you know, I think I did pretty good here, but like, I don't know, I'm not sure I handled this answer well, then I dig in. Well, what do you mean? Like, how else would you have answered it? And I'm starting to get a sense of like how you're thinking through these things. In every interview, I give one piece of positive feedback and one piece of needs for improvement feedback. Because if I just go right into like giving you criticism, some people might start having an anxiety attack, right? Like, this is a big deal. You're going for this like job, you're like getting like feedback from the VP of sales for this job you want. It's not really like replicating what it's gonna be like 6 months into the job. You're gonna be like just going through your motions. You've done this a million times. So I'd say something like, yeah, I thought you handled that objection so smoothly. What did you know about that? And then for improvement, I really wish you'd like triple click into the pain a little more. Do you know what I mean by that? Here's an example. And then I might even have you like try it again. A couple of things that are happening there is I see that Matthew was very focused on me. He was taking notes, he was listening versus someone that's just glassy eyed and it's not registering. We might have a dialogue and I can see if it's actually sinking in. And then at some point, whether it's in this interview or the next one, if they move on, they're gonna have a chance to redo it. In a lot of cases, I'll have someone having done 3 or 4 role plays over the sequence of like whatever, a couple of interviews to see that they're progressively improving. And that is like, again, for me, usually the #1 driver of hiring a candidate. So I hope that helps with your hiring strategy. Sometimes you can't do both exceptionally well. You can't be a great hirer and a great manager. But I would much rather be an A+ hirer and be able to get a bunch of A players in here and be a B- manager than vice versa. If I get A players on the team, they're gonna find a way to win. And this model that we talked about today helps you get those A people. So point number 1, don't fall for the pothole trap of hiring only for industry experience. It doesn't hurt, but don't overweight it and overlook some of the key skills around sales that drives your hiring process. Number 2, this ideal hiring profile is contextual. Think about the context of your sale, come up with the 5 or 10 attributes that you think will correlate with success, and translate those attributes into an interview process. Point number 3, test, iterate, and learn. You're not gonna get the model out of the gate right. So learn from your hires, iterate on the attributes that made them great, iterate on the attributes that didn't make them great, and hone that model over time. It will change over time too, as the competitive landscape, your company, your product changes, etc. Finally, point number 4, I've never met a hiring context where a role play wasn't a key part. Do the role plays, incorporate them into your hiring criteria. Hopefully those 4 tips get you the A team that you want to succeed and scale. I'll see you on the next episode.